This week on the Autocar Show, we take our first drive of Toyota's diesel Etios sedan and Liva hatchback. We drive Range Rover's new Evoque and Mercedes' facelifted C-Class. And Holmers brings you the inside line from the Indian automotive industry. When it comes to practicality, spaciousness and value for money, Toyota definitely moved the goalpost forward with the Etios Saloon and the Liva hatchback. What's amazing is, even though these cars were offered only with petrol engines, they really racked up some very solid numbers. But what's going to make car buyers sit up and take notice of them even more is the fact that these are now going to be offered with diesel engines. We're going to take our first drive to see what they're like. At the heart of the matter is a 4-cylinder 1.4-litre diesel engine that has been borrowed from the Toyota Corolla Altis. Now, despite having a variable geometry turbo, the Corolla Altis does have a lot of turbo lag. Here in the Etios siblings, to save cost, a fixed geometry turbo has been used. Now, the diesel engine has added about 70 kilos to the weight of the cars. So when you think about it, with the fixed geometry turbo and the additional weight, the Etios siblings don't sound all that promising in terms of performance. When I got around to driving the Etios sedan, the first thing that struck me was that the engine was quite audible, and it could do with better sound insulation. Other than that, performance was quite adequate. Now when it comes to the engine, it's been tuned keeping in mind city driving. So you have the turbo coming in early, about say 1800, really coming into full boost about 2000, and the torque spread is up to 3.5, but it trails off really quite sharply. So revving it hard is of no use. More power and a wider power band would have made the Etios more lively to drive. Overtaking on the highway will work the engine a fair bit, and at higher loads, the diesel engine clatter does get a bit intrusive. However, the 5-speed gearbox makes good use of the 17.3 kilograms of torque at hand. The gearbox is a nice short throw to it. Its ratios though are more, again, keeping in mind city driving rather than, cruising at triple-digit speeds out on the highway. The Etios should prove to be quite easy to drive around in the city without making frequent gear changes. The ratios are well matched to the engine. The 1.4-litre diesel engine has been tuned to provide the best fuel efficiency while delivering adequate performance. As per ARAI, the Etios delivers 23.59 km per litre, which is the best in its class. But we'll have to wait and see how it fares in our tests. When it comes to the suspension, the Etios had a stiff low-speed ride, but this has been retuned on the diesels to cope with the extra weight. Now when it comes to bumps like these, the added weight of the engine has given that measure of pliancy to the suspension. Earlier it used to feel skittish at lower speeds, but now it ends up taking these bumps at lower speeds a lot better, feeling plusher. The Etios continues to display good composure and rides nice and flat at higher speeds. The added weight of the engine also had another enjoyable side effect. It's still a short ratio steering, so it's many turns lock to lock, but it does have more feel to it. It feels more weighty, more substantial, and that's a good thing. Then it was time to try out the Etios Liva. Now the Liva hatchback shares the same engine as the Etios Saloon, and even the gearbox is identical. The only difference is that the Liva is offered with 14-inch rims, while the Etios sedan we were driving came with 15-inch rims. But how different can it be? So I guess it's no surprise then when it comes to drivability and the engine, the Liva hatchback, well, is pretty much like the Etios sedan to drive. However, because of the smaller tires, the Liva does feel a bit more understeery in the handling department. So, as before, the Etios siblings have turned out to be practical and no-nonsense in their approach even in their diesel avatar. But has Toyota made any changes to improve the feel-good factor? As you can see, the Etios looks the same as before. The only way to mark it out as a diesel is by its badge. There aren't any changes on the inside either. You get the same levels of equipment and space as before. So quality remains solid while the design remains bland and a bit tacky, just like the petrol versions. The Liva hatchback doesn't spot any cosmetic changes either. It remains zesty to look at. Again, the only differentiation here is the D badge to mark it as a diesel. Just like its petrol version, it has the same level of equipment, quality of materials and space on the inside. Just like the petrol versions, the diesel Etios and Liva aren't your high appeal cars. With the 1.4 litre diesel motor under the hood, what you get are two workhorses that offer great drivability, will offer great fuel efficiency and well, could do with a bit more pep in their performance. When you look at the exteriors, nothing has changed. Trim to trim, you get the same level of equipment and the looks. Of course, that means on the inside you have lots of space as well. Then the interiors, I wish some change had happened there for a bit more of that zing factor. Apart from that, Toyota has taken this opportunity to retune the suspension, which means you have a more pliant, more absorbent ride, and that's a great thing. However, these two aren't the most exciting cars to drive around, be it hatch or sedan powered by a diesel motor. But if you are in the market for a versatile, practical hatch or saloon that's powered by a diesel motor, then these Etios siblings are going to be right up your alley.